All right. Hey, how are you guys? Just coming in here today. Gonna hang out and do a little tinting. One more bit of info that I wanted to share that I came across. I've been trying to share information with a brother on here about shrinking back windows and some of the stuff that you might run into that can make it hard. And so there's one other tip that's really, really important that I know will cause a problem. And so I am trying to make sure that we don't run into that. So I want to share that and just hang out, man. I think I'm going to show some stuff and I'm going to. There's my audio's coming through, so that's cool. One viewer, welcome, brother or sister, maybe. So I got a tip for the back window that's important, and I'm just gonna hang out. I never really have a plan for this. I have no idea where it's gonna go. I do want to share something that I think is interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'll bring that up in a little bit. I'll do a screen share and I'll show. There's a video on YouTube that I find to be. I'm very skeptical of this guy. So it's one tinter and. What he's able to do in a day, and I don't know. So first, before I do that, I'm just gonna pop these panels off because I got to deal with these. I want to get these out of the way now. So I got some new equipment in the works, and I'm going to be live streaming and have multicam set up. And it's a little expensive, so it's going to take me a while to compile all the components. But when it's all said and done, it's going to be pretty cool. So I got that working. I figured out a system that's going to work for me on that. And in the future, I'll be pumping out some really cool video that at the moment no one's doing. I'm sure before too long, others will be involved. So yeah, on these Civics. You got the switch plate, the switch panel that just pops up, and you kind of work a hook into the front area and just pop it up. It's clipped in, and they have one screw in place, and then I just slide my popsicle stick behind the panel itself and pop the panel off. It's literally one screw on these. They're very easy. Nothing but a pleasure to work on. I'm not going to bother showing it close up. I got some other videos where I do that. But I just want to get these panels out of the way, and then I'll dive into a little bit of theory on the back window that I think is hugely important. So I'll just kind of refresh. There's a brother guy on here that had some issues shrinking a back window, and I made a video to try to help him, and I left something out basically that I know is vitally important. And a couple days later, I ran into this particular situation myself, and then I was like, oh, I gotta share this with these guys because there's one little situation that you can run into on these back windows that is virtually unknown to a new installer. You will have no idea what's going on or why the film is behaving the way it is, why you're not able to shrink the back window like many others or all other back windows have shrunk for you in the past. And because you don't know the business of the tinting world and you don't know the business of the used car markets and how the used car lots do business. I'm going to explain all this, but it'll leave you in a situation where you'll have a really tough time shrinking a back window, and it just really won't turn out good. And so I'm gonna address that here. So I'll dive right into that right now because I'm at the point where I want to get this back window set up. And so here's what you'll run into, right? Now I got some interesting stuff happening here. I've got a sticker. I don't know if you can see that. You can see it pretty good. So I got a sticker here uh, that somebody thought it was a good idea. Something about the Democrats. Okay, so they put their sticker back there, and the sun just literally decimated it and has it cracking apart. And now it's behind the deck. So I don't even know if I can get that. I might have to pop the deck on this one. We'll see what happens. But first, I'm gonna just discuss this situation here. So if you start shrinking a back window and realize, what the heck, this thing is not shrinking, and it's really, the film is behaving in a way that you've never seen before, and there's nothing you can imagine that you're doing that is causing it. One thing you want to do when you prep a back window all the time, and the reason why this is important is because the car dealerships, if it's a used car, or if it's a family or a friend or a neighbor, it could have came from a used car dealership. So the dealerships have paint repair guys come on the lot and do paint and touch-up repair to the body of the car. And they literally paint cars right on the lot with all the other cars just sitting there. And what happens is overspray just drifts off and goes and falls on every other single car on the lot that's in the vicinity. So more times than you could imagine, I run into this situation where there's a light coating of overspray on the glass. And if you don't know about it, or you don't know to look for it, it impedes the ability of the film to really absorb the heat, if you will, and shrink properly. It adjusts the behavior of the film. And so the, the thing you can do, now this one is pretty clean. You can just tell. It almost feels like, I don't know if you've ever seen like hairspray overspray on something, or it'll just feel like a light coating. And you can have this with tree sap, automotive paint. There's been other things that I've seen on a back window that will do the same thing. So what you do, you just feel it. And if you feel it's like a rough coating, or you just want to make sure, what I'll do is I'll take some 4-aught steel wool before I lay my baby powder on there, and I'll just break that surface contamination up. And you can just feel with your hand, make sure you've got a good, nice, clean, residue-free surface, because the I think somebody initially stumbled upon this whole process of shrinking the film, by mistake, or just by having an idea pop in their head. But really, it's a perfect system, right? So the glass, the surface of the glass, the little bit of slip agent, whether it be baby powder or dryer sheets. I've even seen people using soap and letting soap dry. Whatever your method, those components, the film, the slip agent, and the glass, all work together in perfect harmony. And you throw one little thing in there, like some paint overspray or whatever, and that'll throw the whole thing off. All right. So I'm going to clean this again, because now I've got little steel wool particulate in the on the glass, and I don't want that there either, because some of the larger chunks of the steel wool, believe it or not, they'll alter the shape when you shrink the film. And a bigger one, I think, may even be able to puncture. It's probably very rare, but I just want to get it out of the way, because that too can adjust the behavior of the film when it's shrinking. I'm gonna try to see if I can get this. I'm gonna really basically do some surgery here, like an absolute tint surgeon, and see if I can get this out of the way here. Okay, so I got that one chunk out. Got the one chunk there. Straight up tint surgery. It's another piece here. And then, I don't know. We'll focus on that thing in a minute. And quite honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to get that out of there. I'm probably going to have to pop the whole deck out, which isn't a big deal because I take the side panels out on this. I have a video on that if you want to check it out. Got more good video content coming, so you can watch for that. I've got a video coming out for the 2018 Honda Civic. Hands down, I'm talking hatchback. This is my baby powder here. But hands down for the 2018 Honda Civic hatchback, I got the best video that'll be out there coming out here real shortly. Everything else is like poor video quality or little to none in explanation as to how you're working the film. It's going to be I have one video where we're dismantling the 2018 hatchback, taking all the components that are there out of the way. Then I have another video where I'm actually going old school and I'm doing that back window in a two-piece install, and you don't have to take apart the rear spoilers and windshield mechanism, windshield wiper mechanism, and all that other stuff. Which that's the method I'm going to use. Taking it apart is just so cumbersome. If you can do that thing seamed and make it look professional like one piece, that's a much faster, much more efficient, actually much more efficient use of my time. So that's the system that I'm gonna use here. I'm gonna check the chat if anybody's got questions. If you got stuff you'd like to see, I'd be really, I'm excited to help. You can see how I'm trying to help this brother with the rear window situation. Let me see this here. I'm gonna see who's on here quick. If anybody, cool. If not, whatever. Hold on one second. Oops. Okay. Just gonna check this stream out here. If you give me just a minute, hanging out, man. So I don't know if you got something you want to see, anything you want to share. I keep saying this, and it seems like I guess not too many people have the to shoot the breeze and hang out. There's only a couple of people that I know come in here that actually want to, converse, ask questions, or whatever. So that's cool. Okay, so nothing's in the chat room. You want something? Got something to say? Put it in there. And then, so yeah, I'm about to share this other setup here. So there we're back there. But here, check this out. This is interesting here. So I'm going to do a screen share. And this is what I was talking about earlier. So this is this tint guy, and I'm a little skeptical, quite honestly. This video is one tinter, one day, 8 hours, 14 cars, fastest tinter ever. Now, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I don't want to be prideful or arrogant and seem like, hey, I got everything all figured out, but I don't know. This would seem to be, a car every 30 minutes or less, and I just really am very like, maybe this guy has some Superman skills, some tint skills that I don't know about. I guess it's possible, but I really just, man, I got to go take lessons from this dude because I am definitely doing something wrong if this guy is able to do this many cars in that short of a time, like 14 cars. I'd work 2 days and then take off the rest of the week, I think. Honestly, you could schedule all your cars in just like 2-3 days and then just take off the rest of the week. So that's quite amazing, guys. I don't know what you think. Maybe you got some comments or something to throw up in regards to this. It's not a real long video. I mean, it's only 1 minute and 51 seconds where this guy's banging these cars out, and it's like some of them are, boom, boom, boom. It's a CRV, and then a second later, it's a Pontiac, and then a minute later, it's something else, and it's like, I'd love to believe it's true. It's just, I don't know how many corners. I mean, sometimes you could spend 15 minutes cutting film and 15 minutes doing a back window. I don't know how this could be possible. But again, maybe I am just not aware of certain things that are possible. And so, yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I just thought that was really, really interesting that somebody is potentially doing that much work in that short of a time. Love to see or hear what anybody else might have to say. Throw it up in the chat. You know, what is your average time frame for a car? Isn't really a race, so I know a lot of people get you know, sort of heated, like the idea of speed. In fact, when people ask me, like customers, I just say, hey, I'm not running a race, man. If you don't have time to leave the car and let me have it for a couple hours tops, then I wouldn't want to schedule the appointment for that time. Maybe another day, I'll tell them, and that'll usually bring them around to, oh, no, 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 it's okay, however long it takes, you know. But I think there's a focus on speed when there shouldn't be. I mean, you should develop the skills to get yourself in. Uh, you should get your skill set up to par so that you can, you know, get a car done in the reasonable amount of time that a normal professional works on cars. Recently, there was an article on Tint Dude, or a post that people were commenting on. Same thing, same sort of responses. Just kind of went through. You know, people were saying the same thing. It's not a race, but here's how long I spend doing a professional job. And the average was between about an hour and 15 minutes to about 3 hours. And if you're cutting by hand and taking your time, doing a good job, I wouldn't be upset with a 3 hour time frame. If it's longer than that, then just keep going. You know, just keep practicing, keep learning, keep growing, keep searching for new stuff, new techniques. I mean, even after 25 years, I'm excited to learn something new. In fact, there's another good video that I watched. You can probably search it on YouTube. It's a balloon method, and it's something people utilize with these really high-end ceramic films like Hopper. That's the actual company that did this video. It's Audubon window films, I believe, and they were putting on Hopper, and apparently this fully 100% ceramic film, if I'm wording that right, shrink exactly the way that the normal sort of window film that most of us use. Shrinking behavior is quite a bit different. So there are special techniques for putting on and shrinking these really high-end, really expensive, which quite honestly I haven't worked with either of crystalline or Hopper. And you know, I wouldn't. You know, nowadays the sentiment out there is that if you don't work with these really high-end films, and if you don't do Lamborghinis and Ferraris and that type of a thing, that you're not really a tinter, or you don't really, you know, you're not really. I don't know how to put it. You know, there's a lot of animosity, a lot of pride, a lot of arrogance, but I've been tinting for a long time, and you know, I mean, I just haven't worked with those films. I don't have a call or a need for them. My market doesn't dictate a demand for them, and so I just don't utilize them. And so, but the video was interesting, and I think I'm gonna actually do a video maybe tomorrow, and I'm gonna try. I think what I'm gonna do on here, just to kind of set myself apart, is try some of these methods. And so this balloon tinting was really interesting. You kind of shrink the edges up first, and you kind of get these edges shrunk up, and then they taped all the way around, and then they literally blew air into underneath the piece and sealed it off. So now this thing is popped up off the glass. And then the process of really evenly shrinking. I understand the concept with that film. You have to evenly shrink it. Doesn't shrink the same way as this stuff does. So I'm going to try that method just with some regular film. I like to do stuff like that, and I'm not afraid to kind of share and show what I'm doing, and I think it'll be kind of fun. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to actually, anybody, I'm going to move this tab and see this. All right. All right. So no comments, which just seems to be typical on this channel. I don't know. I got 3 viewers. Say hi, boys and girls. Come on, let's hang out together. It's not much of a hangout if I'm the only one hanging. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's my competition next door watching, and they're fearful to say hi. I don't know, but I guess whatever's possible. There's no shame in my game here. So I'm a pretty open book, and hopefully I'm sharing something that somebody might find. Would love to learn and get feedback from you guys and find out what you're doing. Something from you guys, and I'd love to maybe even try it out in a live stream and get some insight or maybe some instruction from somebody and show people that I'm willing to learn a thing or two as well. I like to do that. I love to do that, especially if something, you know, one thing, me and one of the other guys that checks in here now and then, Jay Bird, he was saying that, you know, you've been doing this a long time, and when you just change like one little thing up in your process, it really it kind of it revives your outlook on your job, and it really changes the dynamic of your day, and it can actually bring some enjoyment to what would otherwise be sort of just monotonous and, you know, repetitive and boring. So I enjoy that. I'm going to grab some water over here, guys, and get some H2O going. So I shared that tip. I shared a tip earlier. If you just jumped in, you might want to go back and watch that. It's about a back window situation, and something people might run into. Let's see if I can get this sticker out. I'm gonna try to get this sticker out of the way, guys, without having to take this back deck out. Normally I don't like taking the deck out because on this particular car, because there just really isn't a need to clean install on these. And the reason being is everything's plastic. There's nothing really like felt or material that can harbor dust, and then when you touch it or bump into it, the dust pops up. So it's generally pretty straightforward, but this thing is like a total absolute nightmare. I know that I'm probably going to I'm not going to be able to get at that. So I know it's going to leave a bunch of shards and a bunch of little chunks of itself behind. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to pop the deck out on this. And we got some dog hair. Now, a nice thing about a plastic deck too is when you have dog hair, it's not usually an issue. But I just posted up that dog hair special that I put out the other day. Huge. And I'm trying to share tips and tricks that I don't see everyone else doing. There's quite a few people on here, you know, going through the same old stuff and how to shrink a back window and how to do this. And I'm trying to bring the other little lesser known type tips and tricks that are are you know, things that I know are going to help you. So I mean, you know, like I can't reach this. I might get lucky and get a hold of this, the adhesive here, and maybe drag this thing out. But no, it's not probably going down. I no. And then from there, I really got nothing, no way to get at this. I can try coming down and hooking it and getting some of it. Actually, I got a pretty good amount of the sticker, but and I'm just trying to get my hand back there, but it doesn't look good. So let's abandon ship on that. And what I'm going to do is pop the trunk, the hounds here. I got to back this up a little bit. I'm going to release the clips for the seat. Still see that a little bit. I'm just going to get the seat and the headrest. The headrests are out. I'm going to release the seat here. This kind of sucks. It's going to add a few minutes to my job. Let me see if I can pop these side panels. Yeah. Okay, so I popped them side panels. There's just some little hook type clips in the way there. Let me put this back. So this, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dog hair and it's behind this seat here now that I opened it, but it don't matter. I'm just popping these side panels. And then this particular deck, I can try to get that camera in here so you can see, get a different angle on this here. Give you a little something to look at instead of my PC card is kind of like an IV stand or something. And so let's see, maybe I'll just throw it in here like this. Hang out, check it out. I'm just gonna bring this down here. And let's see, what do we got there? Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that'll work good enough. All right, cool. So I forget even how these decks, I think I gotta push down and unclip it. Let's see once. I don't take these off too often because these things are such a breeze to do. Yeah, I forget now. I think I gotta push down on this and oh, there we go. Oh, you just push up on it. Yeah, there we go. All right, so it's pretty straightforward, really. It's not too difficult. Get the clips out of the way, kind of slide it up over, remove the little seat belt setup. You can see, right? I'm taking these seat belts off, working those through. Get this one out of the way here. And then slide this deck out. And don't forget the light. You got to reach under there to the actual wire for the light isn't too long, and if you forget, you can pull on it and rip the wire. All right. So there we go. Now you can see I'll leave this camera so you can watch the install here. It'll be a little different angle. Can you see good? I'll have to double check. I'm not sure. I think so. All right. Get my fat ass out of here. Okay, so there you go. I mean, it doesn't take long to take that deck out. I understand there's people that want that out every time, and I get it. You know, if you feel better about what you're doing, there's certain cars that I know are going to be problematic that I like a Passat. Deck out on a Passat every time. because those things are just absolutely a nightmare. You could very easily run into a situation on those where you have to put the film in, try to do the back window with the deck in, and then before too long you realize you're in trouble, and then you need to scramble and wreck a piece of film and start over again, and then destroy your whole day, and it's tough. So one thing I will do when I pull these out is, now I don't want to get a lot of water pooled up in these speakers, so I'll just take some Scott's paper towel, and these things will absorb all the water. That way I won't have to worry about it pooling up and damaging the speaker. And actually, what I'll do is I'll take a little moisture and spray these so they stay sort of formed and weighted down on the speaker itself. I'll show you. Not a whole lot, but just enough to, I mean, they're going to be soaked by the time this is over with, but I'll spray a little bit of water. You can see how it's settled. Just want to have it weighted down a little bit so it stays there. And those little things will absorb up all the moisture that I'm going to throw at them here. And so it's good enough. Just keep the speakers from taking on water, and that's about all you need. The rest you can wipe down and have, really virtually a straightforward, easy time with. I've got I got to get a new pot scrubber here. I threw mine out yesterday. I noticed that it was kind of breaking down and leaving little chunks behind and stuff. It was deteriorating to the point where it was no good anymore. So I got a new pot scrubber. We're gonna hammer on the. Now, of course, I think I've shared before, I don't use steel wool unless I'm stripping old film, but I'll use this pot scrubber just for my basic day-to-day, 2-part scrubbing process. I'll hammer down on it with the regular, white scrubby, and I noticed right away that I've got a few chunks of this sticker. I don't think the person who put that sticker back there actually adhered it to the window. I think they just slid it behind there thinking, oh, okay, maybe I'll grab it later. Maybe they put it off to the side and it blew under the light. Once it was under the light, it couldn't be reached, but chunks of it came off later and ended up on the glass. And so just a couple chunks there. I'm going to make sure that I don't have any adhesive down there. I'll feel it out when I get there, but I'm going to go over that with the pot scrubber because I don't know where there might be anything I can feel. See if I can feel any adhesive. It's a little tougher on these while you're feeling, and you got the defroster lines there as well, but you can still feel it out. It's clean. I'm just gonna spray down this pot scrubber and go over it one time. This is a brand new pot scrubber here, and these are nice. They knock down the lines. I know there's a couple guys out there that got videos on the peanuts. If you don't know what that is, little bubbles that form on the defroster lines of certain cars. You can scrub and go over the lines with a pot scrubber like this. That sometimes does a good job of preventing these peanut bubbles. And then I just learned a new technique that I haven't even tried yet from I forget the guy on makes videos. He's kind of a southern guy. He's got a little bit of a southern accent and has a big beard. Seems like a really nice guy. He shares a lot of info, and he made a video about backblading. I was like, oh, okay. And basically you're just a razor blade backwards over the lines, which will shave off a little bit of the edging. What it turns out to be is those lines are really fat and thick in a few different models of vehicles. It's typically like Chevy Malibus and some of the Chevy products, a couple different Nissans, Nissan Maxima, a couple different Nissan products, maybe a few other cars, but the thickness of the lines, they allow more air to suck back under the film. And then in the areas of the film where it was shrunk right over the defroster lines, generally in this area and in this area where most of the shrinking occurred, you'll have these little peanut bubbles. So I learned a new method watching YouTube videos. Cool as cool can be, man. I'm with it. I like it. So I am about to. I'm gonna do a reverse roll here. I always do a reverse roll. I don't like doing the Frankenstein whip the film around method anymore. I don't find it to be efficient. So I would recommend, as always, and I'm not really showing a close-up of the actual preparing of the reverse roll here, but I am going to show you the actual delivery, how I get it on the glass. I'm not sure if I've actually showed that in a live stream before. I don't think I have. The method I've been using for a good, I don't know, maybe I would say about 10 years. 8 years, 10 years. Before that, I did the Frankenstein method where you see a lot of people doing that on YouTube where they have the film kind of, they're holding their arms straight out. They got the film draped over their arms. And I don't like it. I think it's inefficient and more likely to cause contamination. And so I can hold my piece of film like this. I can walk around with it for 20 minutes. If the phone rings, I don't have to worry. I can easily install it. I just break the covering, the cellophane off of a small portion. I lay it down, roll it out. I slide my hand all the way down in there and get a tight, a little taut, a little tension on the bottom in the part that is exposed, and I touch the bottom corner, some of the bottom edge. I want to slide it over this way, especially now that I got the whole deck and everything out of the way. It's like smooth sailing. There's any problem. And then I'll just kind of roll the rest of it out and keep it up, keep it from touching anything, touch the bottom corner, slide it back over to the other side. I mean, basically I've gotten this piece on without touching anything, and I should have a really nice clean install. Now I'm looking for light gaps. I'm feeling pretty confident with my position. I want to make sure that I have even distribution, so if I got a 1/4 inch on this side, I want to have a 1/4 inch there. I typically really pay attention to the bottom, especially and here's another tip about this, right? You'll run into, if you deal with used cars, which you're going to deal with used cars, so you're going to run into it, but once in a while there'll be a back window replacement. And is the adhesive used to keep the window in the vehicle or attached to the vehicle, right? It's like some kind of really amazing, I don't know if you want to call it an epoxy or whatever, but what happens is they replace that window, and that there's a sloppy tendency for a sloppy install. They'll use maybe too much of the adhesive, and for whatever reason, the adhesive, when they put the window down and push it into place, the adhesive on the bottom will ooze up and it will come close times over the ceramic edge. So then when you come in and you try to position your piece, as you always do, you'll run into a situation where you have this big chunk of adhesive down in the bottom, film from sliding into the proper position that you need it to be in. And from that point, at some point I'll probably be able to make a video showing something like that. But then at that point, you kind of position the piece up high and try to trim this really hard rubber out from there and get it out of the way. I've tried in the past to kind of trim the film around it, but you always sort of end up bumping into it, and it allows water to re-enter under the film, and contamination comes along with it. So it's kind of a tricky situation that you might run into at some point. And just remember that you'll end up sliding the film down, and you'll be prevented from going down, and you'll see the film will start bunching up in the area, and you'll be like, what the heck is going on here? But that's typically what happens, and why is because the rear window was replaced. Maybe the car was in an accident, had some body work, or maybe the car was vandalized and had a window replaced for whatever reason. And if you're dealing with a car and doing an install and the deck's in the way and you can't see that material in the way, I mean, it can be really a troubling, hard situation to deal with. So after you run into that a couple of times and understand what's happening there, you'll know what to do. But another thing that can throw your day off, right? So those 2 paper towels literally kept the speakers completely dry. I do notice a little moisture on the foam around the edge, but nothing really, just from the wet paper towel sitting there. So this pretty much, straightforward, turned out excellent. I'm gonna just do my best to get around all these wires and everything and sop up some of this water and whatnot, and dry this deck off. I don't want to leave a whole puddle under there ever. I don't do that. I'm not worried about a little moisture that'll naturally dry out. But I don't want to leave a puddle or anything like that. And that's it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It turned out really nice. Hopefully you guys had a really good angle on that, and maybe that was useful, helpful. I suppose what I can do is I'll just back this up for now. I'm going to reset the camera here, guys. I'll check the chat window and see if anybody's added anything or has any questions or comments or anything. I've got things working. Not much has changed visually on the website. Tint Academy, the web address is learnhowtotintcarwindows.com. You can still go there and sign up. I got some things in the working now. I have a membership plugin installed, and I think what I'm going to do here in the near future is basically have the regular live stream footage, but then I will also have close-up stuff. The close-up stuff will be on the website. Members, if you want to come in and look at the close-up footage and that type of a thing and get a better insight, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going through a lot of effort, and so I want to build an email list and be able to share that way. And I think it's only fair if I'm going to go through the effort to help people that they sign up, come to the website, and be a part of the community and all that. If they want to really get better insight, what I'll end up doing is working closely one-on-one with people. And what we're going to do, and I notice I got a little moisture here that I'm going to get rid of there, but what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up helping people develop their skills, build an online resume for themselves so they can actually document their progress. That'll be a part of the membership, and receive accreditation like any journeyman would have. I think it's kind of sad in this industry that people do so much work and so much practice and prepare themselves, and then after a couple of years they don't have really anything but their word, or maybe employer referencing, which is good. But I think if you spend 2 years, you document your journey and have an online resume, and you have certification, I think what I'll do is offer some sort of in-house training down the road where people can come here and spend some hours with actual hands-on with real vehicles, and then they can share that and just show that they're a cut above the rest. I think that's what I'm going to do, is develop something in that way, help people that way, be more marketable. I think I'm going to try to set up a system where I can help people get placed, much like a lot of other schooling you can go to. Then maybe I'll have a place where employers can post up their need and desire for tinters that they're looking to hire, and then people can reply to that stuff, and who knows, you can relocate from where you're at and go to a nice sunny city and get a job tinting and have your resume and your documented progression and your whatever, your journeyman card, if you will. I don't know if that's even how we'll look at it, but it's kind of makes sense, like if somebody goes through an apprenticeship, and at the end of the apprenticeship they're a journeyman, and they're regarded as a professional that knows what they're doing. I think we should have that. Why don't we have that? Why are guys in this industry doing this for years and years and years, and they don't have that sort of credibility? I think it's sad. So I got a couple of these sort of bubbles here, these little peanut type bubbles, and I just, what I'm gonna do is throw a little heat at it and just use the stroke doctor to give it some love, baby. Give it some love on the peanuts. That's all it takes. A little bit of heat, and the window literally turned out perfect. I mean, if you really wanted to look and nitpick, you could probably find. I could probably find. There's a little speck there. There's a little speck there. I mean, little specks. Nothing that's gonna dry and be really noticeable, but all in all, 2 specks, maybe a speck there. I'm just being really honest with you. I don't care whose work it is. I've looked at everybody's work. There's always a speck. So drop off. I'm gonna cut some film here, guys. See what comes to mind here as far as sharing something that I haven't shared yet, or maybe some different thoughts. But what I'm going to do is I am going to switch this roll of film out and use a shorty roll, cut some door pieces. And I got a new order of film that came in yesterday. And normally I do a lot of these dealer cars in 50%, because the legal limit's 35 in the back, 50 in the front. When you combine the 35 with the glass, and if they get pulled over, people could still potentially receive a ticket. So I just put 50% on these cars. They're just doing these lot cars to make them look nice and make them more sellable. It works. They look great. People buy them up. But they were out of 50%, so I had to get 42%. So I want to use up what I have here, so I'm not left in a position where I'm mixing the two, which it wouldn't matter, but I just like to get rid of the old and bring in the new. So I'm gonna get my origin set right here, queue up a couple pieces, and pump out some pieces there. Yeah, Looks like my sprayer's loose. Yeah, I'm in the process of buying this building. Should be closing on this building in a couple weeks, maybe 6 weeks. So from that point forward, I'll do something different with the glass, and I'm gonna put glass on the walls. I'm actually gonna line these walls with something waterproof so I can, not worry about getting the walls wet, and just spraying the walls down is gonna be a benefit to me. In the winter time here, I have to pull frozen cars in and spray snow and ice off of them and warm them up. So having waterproof walls will be a nice addition. And then getting this easel out of the way here, this A-frame, and getting the glass on the walls, I'm going to do that, free up the space here in the center, and I'll get my new live streaming equipment going. And honestly, I think I probably got some work to do in the area of search engine optimizing and optimizing these videos. I really haven't had time to go in there and mess with the tags, keywords, descriptions, and properly do these videos justice so they get more traffic and there's more viewers. In the future, I'll probably focus on that a little bit more. I've just been so busy I didn't have time, and so but feel free, man, if you find value, you could help me out. You could share them, you could like, you could comment. The commenting helps, to show YouTube and Google that there's, and then these videos will rank better, and we'll get more people in, and maybe even get a little community built up where we can share and grow and learn. I know there's other guys doing things, and I think what they're doing has value as well. I do see that there is a need for more of the theology behind what's being done, though. That I do believe that. I know, like Ralph Van Pelt there at I forget what he's selling. You know who he is. He does a really nice job of really explaining theory, which I think is important. I mean, you can watch somebody do stuff, but it's nice to know why they're doing what they're doing. I've been watching a lot of tint videos lately, man. I seen there's some girl on here that does some tinting, and her thing is like, she's really fast, man. And she's just whipping through cars and whipping through these windows, and bah, 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 bah. She looks like she's doing like some karate on these windows, and it's like, I don't know, man. If that's your thing and you got so many cars to do, I hope you're getting paid good, because I don't see why this is something people want to do, man. I try to stop myself from thinking, and because usually I run into problems when I try to go too fast. So slow is better, in my opinion. Not so slow that you're, out of the game, but slow enough where you're not causing yourself stress, and you're not making mistakes, and you're not picking up at dirt and contamination. And if you make 500 a day, you're still going to be doing good. And that's not too difficult in this business. In fact, if you're a professional doing this full time, you should be making 500 a day. Paying your bills, taking care of your family, having a shop, and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of benchmark for this industry, I think. If you're in a market where there's a lot of competition, like I once looked at going to Arizona until I figured out that competition down there that you probably wouldn't be able to build in a reasonable amount of time, because there's illegals doing tint, and there's a couple hundred shops doing tint, and each dealerships have full-time employees already doing tint, and their own plotters or their own inventory, and I had to skip the idea because if I would have went down there, I may 10 years to build a business, and it just didn't seem like it was going to work out. So here I am in Wisconsin fighting through my 44th winter. Not really by desire or by choice, but the one good thing has been that the market's been it's really picked up some steam now, though. Actually, I mean, there's probably a good, and my film didn't cut real good on this one. There's probably a good 20 different shops you can go to. Real skill and experience is probably still a little thin. You know, there's only like 1, 2, 3, maybe two. Me and another guy that I know have over 20 years experience. And then other than that, everybody else is 10 years or less, and a lot of people with, just a few years experience. So pretty similar in any other market, I guess. But I got these pieces almost ready here. And maybe we'll do a little close up. I'm not really trimming these out much or anything. I'll just save myself some time and cut out the little wing windows. It's one of the cars that has a lot of wing windows. 4 little wing windows on this car, and I've actually learned how to do them real well. I know a lot of you guys, if you watch regularly, you know that I think those little windows are the hardest windows there are. I don't know, maybe some would argue, but it's really tricky to manipulate that little piece into that small window with a rubber gasket around, no ceramic, and not get it contaminated or make it crease. It takes a lot of practice. So if you're getting started and you have a limited amount of film, I would focus on those little wing windows. I would spend a good amount of time. You'll waste a lot less film because you're only doing them little wing windows, and you'll really gain the little finesse and the little skills that you need to, finally manipulate the film and work that film in. And I think it will help you with the bigger pieces if you can follow what I'm saying. So that's what I would do. You could sit and do these little wing windows like 50 times, waste almost no film, and really build up your skill set. So that's what I would do. If you're, a budding, practicing, learning, noob, brand new guy, just getting going. That's what I would do, especially if money's tight and you don't have a whole lot of money to blow. I could probably get a little tighter here on some of these shots, the installs. I think what I'll do is I'll go and clean these, and I'll get a little closer when I'm doing the install. So I'll scrub these little windows. Then I certainly want to run my blade in the gasket, very deep into the edges around the sides, because I want to dig out. And I don't know if you can see this, but let me see if I can get this to focus on it. Nah, it doesn't look like it wants to. But there you kind of glimpse of it. I just dug the 2 little chunks of black whatever out of this gasket here. I found myself a dog hair in there, 2 dog hairs. So I dug that out. And so I'm really going to go extra. There's actually quite a bit of dog hair in the bottom of this. So what I'm pulling out black stuff, dog hair. I'm going to flush that and get my hands, and I'm going to dig my fingers way down deep inside of that gasket and flush. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to scrape again. And I'm going to watch for I'm going to watch for stuff on my blade, because when I stop seeing stuff on my blade, then I know I got that pretty clean. I just pulled out another big black chunk, and I think I'm pretty good now. So I'm going to squeegee that down, and that'll be ready to go. And really, these are really difficult windows to handle and manipulate and get in place without major issues. Now, here I can tell this person had a dog. There's all dog nose, slime, dried up crap on the window. Like you had your dog in here and your dog's nose was pressed up against the window, and maybe they only rolled it down maybe a couple inches, so the dog was always trying to suck air and sliming and drooling all over the window. And so I'm going to scrub, and actually on these windows, I'm going to bring in the pot scrubber and just make sure that I have a good, well prepped up surface there. And I'm going to just sit back so you can see, but I can feel this thing cutting through garbage, especially along this top edge here. So I'm seeing dog hairs, and those are probably really dirty from this dog being in here. Certain I'm not going to even proceed without giving this thing the old hand wipe down and really look for. I found some junk at the bottom here, some adhesive. I'm going to just keep feeling around and look for stuff. I'm going to feel along this top edge best I can. I feel pretty good with that. Now I'm going to do the old blade down the gasket. I'm going to look and see if I pull anything out. And then I can squeegee and feel pretty good that I should be able to get a pretty good, clean, intimate install. I'm going to focus a good extra amount of rinsing on this window, because I know there's stuff underneath the gasket here that I'm going to want to rinse down. So that one's pretty good. I should be all right there. And so I'll hit this front one, and I'm going to just pick up the pace a little bit here. And I got some residue from the gasket itself. You can usually see up in this top corner, the top back corner, you'll sometimes, it must be the sun and the heat, and then the window will actually pull off a little bit of the rubber, and you'll see some residue there. And I'm gonna feel this one before I use the pot scrubber. I got a good, clean, smooth situation, so I can feel pretty confident with that. I'm just gonna do the razor scrape down the gasket, and then I am going to squeegee down. And I'll show a couple installs. I'll show these little windows. It can't hurt you to see that more than a million times. Because, like you talk about muscle memory, or, just the process of getting used to or getting good at something. And these little windows, they're going to take a ton of practice before you feel really confident with doing them. If there's ceramic around the edge, that's a different story. So a lot of the newer cars, when there's ceramic present, the little black stuff around the edge of the windows, that makes them not even an issue. Then they're easy. Then they're really easy, and you don't even have to think twice about them. But till we get rid of all these windows that have the rubber gaskets in the way, you're gonna have to focus on getting good at these. And I gotta flush this bottom out really good. I can see I got dog hair and stuff in there, so I'm pulling back the rubber and really rubbing my fingers down in the bottom there. That's one thing about these Civics that's nice. you can really access the bottom. The rubber's very flexible and it comes out of the way really nice. So no questions, no comments, no interaction. I probably got 3 competitors watching. I don't care, man. If it was a couple of guys that watch regularly, they probably would have maybe said hi by now or something. Whatever. Whatever. I'd like to know where you are, what you're doing, what you're wearing. No, I'm just kidding. Not what you're wearing, but what you're doing. You know what you got going. How can you watch? How can you watch a couple hours of some dude tinting windows? What are you doing? Where are you? Are you at your tint shop with no business? Are you working hard tinting some cars and just streaming another dude? What are you doing? This. What benefit is it to you? Let me know. Post some comments. Say hi. I got 100 organic subscribers that I didn't market for. I would think half of them came about 5 years ago when I started posting videos, and then I was sending people to a site that I had similar. I was, I put some video up on there, so people had to join to see the video. But now there's so many people just giving away the farm on YouTube that there has to be something different and something special and worth coming to your website and signing up for that. I don't think many people are going to do that, but I actually have a private video that I made. I made it private because the website's not really where I need it to be to justify running this video again. But I had a video that I made 5 years ago that sent people to my site that has 25,000 views. And I had about 150 or 200 people sign up and come to the site and watch the stuff. And it was kind of a rudimentary thing, but even then for video 5 years ago, I was self-hosting the video. The player didn't work that well, and it didn't really turn out the way it should have turned out. So, but yeah, and I got some video from a DVD set that I did in 2000 that I'm going to put up as legacy. You can kind of see the younger version of me and see a little bit of the outdated process and some of the outdated tools and stuff. It's kind of fun to look at, but it's not really too useful nowadays. But all right. Yeah, I got a lot of dog hair, man, in the way, so I got to make sure I get that out of the way. And I know you guys can't see close up right now. I'm just sharing content, sharing some thoughts. Somebody's going to benefit from this. I mean, I know that much. Even what I have shown and what I'm sharing mentally has got some value. So I'm just throwing up some content, making a presence. In the future, I'll have my better setup and it'll be really nice, high quality. And I like helping people, so I'm going to help some people grow and get paid. And I'd like to kind of improve the situation, like I explained earlier, for the average tinter in this world. I just like people still look at us like we're just some kind of idiot, stickers, and it's sad. But what a nice little business you could have in this industry, make 100 grand tinting windows, putting stickers on cars, doing something you could enjoy. Great little business. And there's lots of room for growth. There's lots of room for people to, and it's really about relationship building. So if, there's a million people doing hair cutting and there's still room for people to come into the business and do hair cutting, right? Although I do see some things down the road here that do worry me a little bit. in regard to the window tinting, the future of automotive window tinting. But there's still, at the moment, there's still a lot of room. There's a lot of places to set up shop and even have no competition. So it's still a great business. I suppose if there's a video, I could share the video. But there's some people, I've been watching some videos about just different guys that are investors and venture capitalists and different things like that, talking about where the automotive market is going in regards to like self-driven cars and AI technology and different things like that. And there was one guy I watched recently. He was talking about like in 1904, when virtually there was only like 1% of people had an automobile, and most of the road was, you know, occupied by horse and buggy. And then mass car production came in like 1912, I think it was. And then by 1918, nobody was on the road with horse and buggy. And this guy's prediction was that by 2025 or 2030, car ownership will be almost obsoleted. And the reason being is because like companies like Uber are going to be coming online in the next couple of years with driverless cars. And what the prediction is that the ownership will be unattractive because of the cost of the cheap and availability of driverless cars and rides to places, and then you don't have any maintenance and any car payments and all this stuff. So they were talking about how that dynamic would play out in the future, and it was really interesting. But it made me think about this industry, and so say by 2025 we have a good number of the vehicles on the road are AI driven, intelligence driven, and no driver, and very cheap, inexpensive cars just picking people up, shuttling people all over the place. And what's that going to look like for automotive window tinting? At that point, it'll be well known that nobody's really looking out the vehicle and needing to see. So maybe the tint laws will be relaxed and the manufacturers will do far more factory window tinting on these new vehicles, and maybe this whole job will be obsoleted. I mean, I've been wondering and thinking about that particular dynamic for the last 20 years, wondering like, okay, well, they tint the back windows on SUVs. How long before they tint all the windows and I'm not needed anymore? So, I don't know. It's something to think about. I mean, we could look at that situation and artificial intelligence coming on board, and we could look at any sector in the world today as far as jobs are concerned, and we could probably say that 80% of the jobs out there are at risk from this new type of thing. But there'll always be something that we can do better than machines, so I think it'll be all right. But it's interesting. It's something to think about, and it's one of the things I'm keeping an eye on as far as automotive window tinting is concerned, and how that'll look. I can bring this in and get a little tighter, some tighter shots here, I think. Limited by my network cable here, so give me a second. That should be good. I'm not going to get too close, but I can get a little closer. And let's see here. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Today's kind of like my Friday. I don't normally work on Friday. I take off Friday and Saturday. I work on Sunday and Sunday through Thursday, but ready for buying this building and whatnot. So I think I might do a couple cars tomorrow. So I might do that in a relaxed day. I might do that video with the balloon shrinking tomorrow and try that out. Maybe some dryer sheets too. I said I was going to try some dryer sheets, and I might come in and do a video and humbly show my trying those two things out here. So yeah, you can see. All right, so these windows are tricky, okay, and even the angle you it come in at is important. And so what I'll do is I'll try to keep this thing side so it doesn't touch down too fast, right? Okay. And what I've done is I've slid this into that rubber. My whole focus is not touching anything until I'm on the glass. And then I'll slide up and position and reposition. I'll watch this corner. I don't want to push the film up so far that this corner bunches, because it sucks the moisture into that region and it pulls dirt into that region and it makes it contaminate the window. So I want to be particular about that, and I want to look and make sure I have all the edging behind there. And it looks good. I might have bumped it. It looks good. Okay, and then I'm really carefully going to, admittedly, there's a good amount of room around the gasket on these, but I'm not going to squeegee down because I don't want to drag the piece down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this ceramic here. I want to get this film as fast as possible anchored down to that ceramic. If you've watched before, which I'm sure you have, you know, there's not so much that we can show on this. All right. I mean, this business is a repetitive business. You get good at this by doing these actions over and over and over. And I think people can grow by hearing the same information reinforced over and over and over. So just tack the film down on this little ceramic wording that's raised off the surface of the glass. It gives the film something to bite into, and it prevents the film from moving. And it's just the way that I found that it works well. Now I'm going to try to get the remainder, or a good portion of the excess moisture and water, away from the edge of the film, because that'll give me a problem sucking contaminants back under the film. So I want to get rid of that. All right. Now I've got what I feel pretty good about. I'm going to take my paint card with the slip tape, which I really love. Talk about that here and there. Link for that, and make money for referring people to that, because it's worth. I think it's worth it. A lot of people don't, but I do. And then I'm just going to make sure I have the moisture away. Now I've did a nice second. I see I got a little bubble in this back corner here, which means I have some moisture there. So I'm going to hit that a little bit harder. And it turned out perfect with dog hair and everything. So I'll just show again these angles and the way I slide these pieces in. Of course, I'm bottom loading. I don't top load too often anymore. When I get lazy, I might top load, but I'm able to come up with a clean install. If there's certain vehicles I take off the lot that I don't want to take apart because they're a pain in the butt, I'll top load. If the door panels come off easy, I'll bottom load. When I come in, touch that corner down well below the surface. At this point, I'm going to get this top corner in place, but I'm going to start to pivot the film toward the front of the car so I can get this back edge I don't want to overlap the top if I don't have to. I'm going to slide in this far and bunch up so I can get this back in, touch down. Then I can slide back. I can position myself really well. You can get a pretty good edge, pretty good micro edge on these windows. Except for this back corner, the patterns I have, they could use a little fine tuning. What I usually do is just overlap a little bit and then just shave that little chunk so it looks nice and doesn't peel there. And I don't know, that's why some people don't like computer cut. They don't feel that it's professional enough. They want to hand cut every piece. I disagree. I think you can use computer cut and fine tune pieces if need be to achieve the same level of professional install, and yet at the same time have the efficiency and the ease of just overall efficiency, I guess is what I'm getting at, of using the plotter. It's just the way that I think any professional shop operate. And but there are those that disagree. We could still be friends. I don't mind. So here, I'll show you one little technique I utilize to just deal with this corner that has. I'll heat this up, and what I'll do is just pre-dry it. Because you can get a really nice micro edge on these. Like, I mean, this is a 1/16 of an inch. It's really tight. And they work out really well. But I end up having this little bit that comes close, right? And so what I'll do is I'll just, almost like I'm filing, but I'll shave. And I shave just a tiny, tiny chunk off. And now that, I could do a little more. So I'm going to do a little more. Let's see if I can do it without destroying this piece. When I went to test it, there was still a little chunk. Little chunk overhanging and caught. My finger caught it. All right. So, some people don't like this either. They want to see every window filed. And I mean, it's uniform, it's clean, it's even, it's done. Easy. Looks great. If you run into a customer that nitpicks about that, I mean, you're talking about somebody you probably never want to work for again, because then they got to pull out a magnifying glass and really look at things with a fine-tooth comb. And I usually find a way to just not deal with that, because realistically in this business, you're going to have some imperfection, and it's impossible not to. Unless you're going to spend one day doing one car and charge $500 for that car and take every precaution not to have one speck of dust or one little thing that's noticeable. I mean, bless you. May Yahweh bless you. May God bless you if that's how you operate. I wouldn't talk bad about you. But I'm more of a production style. I want to come in, do 3, 4, 5 cars, do a really as best of a quality job as I can, but yet get paid, make a living, pay my bills. I just don't really particularly like that super duper nitpicky type of situation. But usually I'm the nitpick, and I'm really focusing more on my work than any customer ever would. So on this one, on this one too, I can get about a 16th. About a 16th of an inch micro edge. More than acceptable. And we'll just bang these windows out quick. Get them on there. Go down the sides, get that moisture away from the edge. So you got to focus on that. You got to get that water out of the way so your piece has less of a tendency to slide around on subsequent passes like I'm doing now. I like to have all the moisture that I can get out in 2 passes, utilizing the side swiper or the stroke doctor, both with the same blade. I don't probably talk about that enough, but in my opinion, this blade, this tool is far superior to anything else out there. I see people using all the other different things, the Max, the Orange Max, that line of squeegees, and those, in my opinion, inside of a week are dull and worn out to the point where you got to do more passes. They're more expensive to replace, and I just don't find them to be good enough for me. So I like the stroke doctor, the side swiper, and that's what I use. And it's been that way for years. Then I'll just go over this one more pass. Got my diamond tip with the slip tape. And slip tape prevents me from scratching almost with absolute perfection. Let me see if I can get in here a little closer, man. I don't know how much I'm running short here on the network cable. I'm limited by wires and stuff still here, which I don't like, but here I'll drape this wire, and let's see what kind of angle I got there. That might not be. Oops, hold on, hold tight, hang tight. Well, oh, my wire's shifting me around. Just total chaos ensue. All right, that should be good. Try to give you another look-see at one of these small windows. And yeah, you know, the other thing I'm going to do too at the site is I'm going to be available to my members until I get so busy that it doesn't make sense. But I'm going to give out my number. I'm going to be available for text, back and forth. And I'm going to help people grow and learn. I'm going to take, you know, you're going to help me figure out which videos I need to produce and which things I need to focus on and which things I need to share and help people with. So it'll be win-win. But go there, sign up, Tint Academy. Learn how to tint carwindows.com. Go there, sign up. I got a group page on Facebook. I'm contemplating whether or not I'm even going to keep that up. Right now, there's only one other guy that's a member of that little group there. And so, I don't know. We'll see. I thought it would be a good place to, you know, hold on here. I thought it would be a good place to build community. Now, on this one, I'm going to come outside. I'm going to shimmy my piece and make sure I can slide still. But I need to focus on getting this edge in place. And I want to have the right positioning. Corner up here for this edge here. My edge to be visible. It's not quite a light gap per se, but it's still, if you can see the edge of the film, it's not really what we're after. aspect of this where you got to really finely tune the position of the piece gently. If you go too much in one direction or the other, you can end up with contamination. If you have too much soap on there, you're moving around too much, that'll be bad. It's very, you want to really know how to finesse this piece into place, which way to squeegee, what to squeegee first. So it takes some practice. I'm going to carefully do this top corner here. A lot of times when you hook into this corner, you can bunch the film and pull the film down a little bit and cause contamination. And a lot of this stuff is just, you just got to hammer after a bunch of these windows and get a feel for it. Practice makes perfect. Nothing else is really going to substitute. But at least if you got a good idea of what to do, what not to do, can really, instead of having to figure those things out on your own, I think that might help somebody. I'm going to even take out my Easy Reach with slip tape on it and go, because I can get a little bit more intimate contact and I can pull a little bit more moisture out that way. And I'm going to go down these edges with that. And I think that's about it. I think that's good. Let's see once. Yeah, yep, good install. No dust and dirt, no edges exposed, and that type of a thing. So I'm gonna draw this back, and I'll reposition it on the other side here so you can see what's up over there. If you want to continue watching, welcome to. It's like I'm a hospital patient with my IV cart, this thing. That's what it feels like. All right, so this might work out kind of cool. Let's see once. Yeah, that's cool. That's good footage. That piece in. Show you that. And like I said, man, you can't see this install too many times. I want to be careful I don't want to get the camera wet, but see this, you could pull this back and really give yourself, I can still feel this rubber's got some crap on it. It's like I'm going to just go back and forth a little bit. I've got this back and the water's able to exit out the bottom, so there's some drain holes in the rubber on these. And I just want to really clean this because I feel like that's pretty good. And I'll grab this piece. We'll show you the angle. Can't see this too many times. I probably said that about 20 times, so I guess you can't hear that too many times either. I don't know. I'm just babbling, trying to be useful, but it is. We got 3 people consistently watching, so see the angle I used, how I went down into the gasket, blah, blah, blah. Close this door real quick so I can see what I'm just positioning, checking my edging, making sure that I am in there good. You can see here, I don't know if you can see, I got a little light gap working there. So I'm going to make sure that I pull that in. I actually got to do it with 2 hands here. But you can see that's what I'm focusing on. And if you got your slip solution correct, you're probably going to bite down on that ceramic, those lettering, the wording. Probably going to stick. The piece should stick fairly easy, and you may have to readjust and kind of break that. I'm having a little bit of an issue. I got to kind of turn the piece because I'm getting Sometimes I'll push the glass out so that I don't bunch up at the top corner. That sometimes helps me position just to push on. I kind of just push. I hold this and I push with my thumb on the actual piece of glass. And obviously, believe it or not, it's just being held in by rubber. So it can create a gap up here so I can slide the piece up gently so I don't have to worry about it bunching, because when you bunch the film on these type of windows, that is not a good practice. It's hard to avoid, but you want that to be your focus, because when the film bunches, it creates a vacuum and it sucks water back in from the edging, as I've said before, and it sucks dirt along with it, and that is you get contaminants coming in. So it's something that you want to try to avoid if you can. So these windows are nice because I can go down and in the side quite deep and not worry about the bunching, and slide it up very gently and I can finesse it into place rather easily, and without bunching I can create myself a good clean install. Now I'm using this orange tool. I like these, but you got to make sure that your edge is well sanded and polished, and I used actually the pot scrubber for that. I've got that in some of the other I think I have a video about that, or I've talked about it before, but I just slide my they sell a little thing now. They sell a little thing that you can use. I'll show you guys something here real quick. You go to Conqueror Tools. Bear with me here a second. I'll show you this thing. It's the same principle. This is it right here. And it's like you can slide your tools. So this is some kind of abrasive material, and you can slide your tools in and out, back and forth, and you can deburr your tools. This is the method that people use when they don't use slip tape. They swear by it. I know it works, but on a daily basis, you're more likely to gather little burrs and nicks on your tools and end up scratching film by mistake. And I just find that when I utilize the slip tape, I have less of that to worry about. So Conqueror Tools is fantastic. I buy my stuff there currently. I think it's the most reasonably priced stuff out there right now. I don't have an affiliate link or anything with them at the moment, but that's what I recommend. Now I see that they have two different types of material for this. So there's a black material. One is probably more abrasive than the other. And then there's a gray material. They have some replacement units there that you can buy. So there's a gray and a black for these two setups. So, and then you see right here, it's a related product, right? This is the card sharpener. I have a card sharpener. I use that as well. But what I find is that if I use that too much, you start to get your cards where you remove so much material that they're not pliable anymore, and that you end up needing to buy more used or more cards and more new tools and things. So, and actually, I did score a little bit here. I do have a little score mark from my tool. So, funny I bring that up and talk about that, and there is a little score mark there. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to show you. And on this car for the dealership, I'm not even going to bother. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little score mark, little very faint hairline scratch right here from my tool. So I do need to sharpen that tool. It's part of the game. And this is a car for sale on the used car lot that really needs to look nice for the money I'm getting. It needs to be a good job, but like if this was a customer's car, I'd peel that piece, cut a new one, and I go about the process of sharpening my card and making sure there's no little hairline scratch there. But it's a perfect example of why we're utilizing slip tape and card sharpeners and different tools to make sure we eliminate that process. And as you guys know, when I make a mistake, I deal with it right here live, and that's how I'm going to handle that. So I'll rip the film off, start over, but I have to weigh the costs of everything I do. And so on this particular car, that's not something I'm going to go after. It's more than likely something that no one will ever see or be worried or concerned with. If you have a customer, right? When I'm done with this car, if I have a customer coming to pick this car up, and they're going to look at everything very closely, uh, obviously that's different than if I'm taking this car back and no one's going to look at it, and it may sit on the lot for a month, 6 months. And when somebody does look at it, they're going to stand 5-10 feet back, never even making note of the tint, and they're going to say, wow, that's a nice car, I'll buy it. It's a different dynamic. And I'm not making light of, but there's a certain level of imperfection that I'm willing to deal with on these particular units, and it's more than acceptable for what I'm doing. It's a business decision. And I guarantee when you're starting out, you're going to have to let a lot more stuff go down the road that you're not happy with. Otherwise, you'll do one car for the next 2 years until you have it all mastered. Then you'll take on another car. I mean, there's just the process of weeding out all the imperfections and the things that happen, and learning and growing. So just normal stuff. But that turned out perfect, and then I can move forward here and hammer out this other door, and we'll finish this up. Because I'm recording, this takes a little longer than I like, but I don't know how long we've been on. It's 10:30. I think I've been on way longer than I would like to be, but it's just how it is when I'm recording or going live here. There's a lot less efficiency for me in my work. So I've been trying to balance that too. Doing a decent job on what I'm working on, even though I'm running my mouth, focused on this camera and trying to share ideas and whatnot. All right, so on this one, want to get that front corner down in there. And I like to have this so that there's no chance of me touching any adhesive anywhere. And then I'll slide it forward. I'll even do a little bunch up right there. Get this back edge down without touching anything. And slide that back into place. I'll do my positioning. Focus on my top edge. Give myself a nice micro edge of about a 1/16 to an 1/18 of an inch. Spray my film down. Really want to tack that top surface down into place. I mean, I first want to make sure that that top edge is going to stay in place as close to where I want it to be as possible, which can be hard. You're dealing with some outside forces, so if the glass is cold, I'm going to have a hard time anchoring the piece. If my slip solution's not proper, I'm going to have a hard time anchoring the piece. Everything plays a part. It depends in what part of the country you're in, what the humidity in the air is like, and all different factors are at play here. But today, I think I got things working for me. My solution's pretty good. My piece is staying in place fairly easy, so pretty happy with that. I'm going to go down along the sides with the diamond tip, or the easy reach, I'm sorry, and the slip tape. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. I made 2 passes on that, and then I'm going to gently draw the moisture that I do have toward the corners. I'm going to do a little quick job drying, even on the glass, very gently. I don't want to move the piece, but I want to get that moisture out of the way. I'm going to use my diamond tip slip tape, hit that one more time as a dry squeegee, last effort to remove all the moisture. You can again look down parallel to the glass in the reflection and look for any orange peel where you might have moisture left over. I'm feeling pretty good about that piece. And so I'm again going to focus on this bottom edge. I know I'm running into a lot of dog hair on this car. So far, this last piece has a tendency to go haywire on a lot of cars. Don't be surprised with that. If you end up doing a car and everything's going good and I'll comment, now watch, because I mentioned it, I'll probably end up with contaminants and have to redo this piece. I mean, it just always works that way. But I'll just bring it up because it's something you're probably going to deal with. But it's like the last window is always the most tricky. Let's see if we can avoid that. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to get this bottom edge down so when I do touch the rest of the film, I don't hit the rubber. And it's a fine balancing act. My slip agent, my slip solution is working just perfect today. It sticks pretty good, yet if I want to break it free and move it around, I can. I know I got to focus on this top edge a little bit more. And I can see that. So I feel pretty good with that. Let me try to get a better angle here. It's not too close, but you can get an idea. Again, I can't be said enough. If there is ceramic present on one of these little windows in the form of the little letters that you see telling you who made the glass and whatnot, that is the first area that you want to squeegee and get the film anchored. On these little windows, that is your best friend. It's your main focus. It's the best process and the best form of attack for installing these. That thing will save you from sheer and utter mental destruction. Now I got those little burrs on here. So real quick, I'm going to go and I'm going to grab my my pot scrubber and show you really quickly. Now I did end up with some scoring on that window. I don't want that to happen again. So I'm just literally gonna take, now I showed you the tool. You can buy the tool, or you can go to the dollar store and get pot scrubbers for 3 for $1. And they last for usually a few months. I'll usually use one for about 2 months, and I'll sharpen, and I will make sure that I don't have burrs, and I'm good. And so then I can confidently dig into these corners. And what happens is, like, this is really the only thing I use this card for. But what you're doing a lot of the time is I might bump into any metal that's below this gasket here, or I'm sliding the tip of this card over a little particulate inside the gasket that's still there, maybe a sand or something like that. That'll give me a burr on it, and then I'll end up scratching a window. It's very common. Something any tinter has to be focused on. Usually when I buff and shine and sharpen a card, it'll last for, I don't know, maybe a week or two before I have to really focus on it again from normal usage. But I'm going to make sure I got all the moisture out of there. This top corner you want to focus on. And then when you have it all done, don't walk away. Look on the outside and look for any rippling, any orange peel, any moisture left behind. Because you don't want to let that sit there for any amount of time. And it's good. So we didn't have that last window failure. That can be super common. I'm going to reposition this here and finalize stuff. And we'll call it a day here shortly. Well, actually, we'll we'll be ending this live stream. But I got at least 3 more cars to do here today. So hope if you guys are in the business, I hope you have some cars to do. I hope you on the video useful and that kind of thing. Let me get this repositioned here. So there, like that. I'll leave the stream up for a bit. I'll put that stuff in the back together. See, I'll show you how easy that goes in. I always have the same process. I finish the side windows. First thing I do is go to the back and do this final wipe down. I see I got a little piece of paint or something there. I'll get rid of that. And what I'm doing is the window's already clean. I've done this already. But by doing this final wipe down, it gives me a chance to really look over the window again and focus on anything that I might have one more opportunity to fix. A little bit of moisture I can get out. A little bubble or a finger around the edge that I might be able to remove. All in all, this window is more than acceptable. It turned out really good. So then what I'll do, I did have a little bit that wasn't stuck as intimately as I would like it to be here on the edge. So I got that. But now let's take this deck, and you're not going to see the close-up, but you can, all I'm doing is sliding it in place, locking it down, no big deal. I got to first, I'm going to put my rag in there so I have it when I need it. I've got to open up, I'm going to shut the key off so I don't kill this thing. Typically these Hondas, the battery will be fine all throughout the tinting process, and I'll start it up no problem at the end. So remember, we got that sticker out of there. I might have oh no, we're good. Okay, so now I'm gonna get this deck up into place here. So when I jump in here, all I gotta do is kind of position it, carefully slide it in there. Sometimes you can have some sharp edges and some things that could puncture the film. So you wanna really kind of very carefully, I'm even bending the deck a little bit to weasel it in there, get it in place, and just be gentle, take your time. I'm gonna re-feed the, I got the third brake light to reconnect. So I gotta make sure I do that. You don't wanna forget that and then have to take the whole deck apart again, which guess who's done that a few times? I have. So I'm actually underneath this deck here. I know you can't see much of anything, but I'm going to and actually I'm not even going to connect the light this way. I'm going to do it from underneath here. So these line up and slide into place really nice. There's not a whole lot that you need to be really focused on. Not too much that can go wrong. I got one clip here. There we go. I got one side here that doesn't want to work with me. So I had to reposition. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, before I really finish everything here, I want to make sure that the light bulb mechanism goes into place. So on this particular car, there's a little hole in the trunk so that you can change the light bulb. And I'm going to make sure this little unit kind of screws in from the bottom. But before I finish everything, I want to get that set up and done, because sometimes you'll put everything in place and then realize, oh no, I got to take that all apart again to get that light bulb in right. So I've done that enough times to know that I don't want to do it again. Actually, I got a couple clips to deal with. I gotta. All right. Side pieces can go into place really easily. I'm just gonna. All right. Put the seats back up. Real quick here, guys. I gotta make sure your seat belts are in the right position and get these side panels clipped into place. Then I'm gonna do the final. Just wipe the window down and get any smudges, watermarks. The squeegee stroke marks, which if the window gets fogged up, that'll become noticeable and it's not real pretty. I got one clip that came off the panel that I need to take out and put back on the panel. Now I have a whole video that I just posted up not long ago, maybe last week, about these Civic side panels. So you can check that out if you really want to know how this works, but it's pretty straightforward stuff. I'm just gonna get these in the right position. Pull this side out a little bit, and I'm having a little bit of an issue here. All right, it just takes a little finagling to get that all back into place. And no action from the viewers. Like to know who you guys are, man. I appreciate you watching. And the view time alone helps with ranking, so that's one plus. I don't really care at the moment. I'm just kind of throwing up content. When I got the website completely ready, it's hard to do all this stuff and get everything going. But when everything's operating properly, I'll focus on video ranking, and then these things will grow. But if you guys could share, like, that kind of stuff would be awesome. And time for the headrests. Those usually slide in and out really nice. They oil the posts on these. They give a light coating of oil on them posts for the headrest. So sometimes they're very sticky and they don't want to come out. They don't want to go in easy. But other than that, that's that. Only thing left to do here, we're going from start to finish, so you see exactly in every video that I follow the same protocol. Now I'm going to put the door panels on real quick. They're very easy on this car. And then I will polish, wipe everything down, and I'll be off to the dealership. I had a big paint protection film job the other day. I don't do too many of those. Here and there I get them, and I should have recorded, but focused so much on doing a good job that I just abandoned the video of that. It was a Toyota 4Runner full bumper paint protection film install, and I hadn't done the 4Runner before. There was some real sharp curves and sharp angles that it was a bear. But I wish I would have videotaped that. Next time I will get some paint protection film videos up. There's a lot you can see out there as well. If you just type in paint protection film or PPF installs, it's fun to watch. It's fun to do that stuff. It's really it's a challenge, and it's fun. Put my seats back in place, reposition those. I see I had a clip pop off. I'm going to figure out where the clip goes on this panel and get that back in its proper position. These doors got like 20 clips, so one isn't gonna hurt it if it doesn't go back in. But I mean, I got it in my hand. I'm gonna make sure it gets back into its spot. Snap these in place. Screw this one screw that holds this panel in, and snap everything in. And then all I have left is a little polishing, and we're golden on this one. Turned out really nice and clean. Really good install on these little windows, considering that I had all that dog hair. That's really, like, when you see dog hair in a car, you can't guarantee that your efforts are going to be successful. Like, you're probably going to have one window with contamination, one piece of dog hair, and now you got to redo that window. So luckily, by the grace of Yah, here we got a clean install, no dog hair that I can find, and I'm happy about that in itself. I make sure I wipe my door panel down, and get rid of watermarks on the door panel. Window cleaner, and same thing every car, every time. Same process over and over and over again, and you'll be good. You'll get good. I don't even know who I'm talking to. You might be good already, but for somebody who watches later, even, it's about developing a skill set that's completely repeatable. Oh, I see I got some dirt in this window here. There's a couple specks of dirt there. So I'm going to just, I'm going to heat that, and I'm going to iron it out. I'm going to take the air. I can tell it's not very thick stuff. It's very minor. So I can heat it up, take my chiseler, and iron it out. You get the moisture, the air away from the contaminants, and it'll never expose itself. You'll never know it was there. So that's a common thing, especially when you're getting started. You're gonna have to learn how to heat stuff and iron stuff out. I'll probably do a better video, a close-up video on just that topic. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you checking in today. Tint Academy. Learn how to tinkcarwindows.com. Facebook.com/groups/Tint Academy is the group page. You can check it out. I'll try to do some better description and stuff a little later so people can find that. But that's where it is. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. And I appreciate you guys checking it out. Hopefully I shared something or a couple of things that were helpful. I appreciate your time, and we will talk to you in the next video. If there's something you want me to do, or a particular situation you run into, something that you need help with, join the group, Facebook group, and ask questions. You can comment on these videos, but just the interaction is not the same. It's not as fast. It's not typically as efficient and easy. Been going to the group page at Facebook and signing up and asking and whatever you want to see or do there. So we'll talk to you the next time. Have a great day, and take care.